Hare Krishna. Kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु महाराज की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Nandapriya Narmada Devi Dasi from Charlotte, welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy names which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in the Padma Purana. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Number 4, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Number 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. I once again thank you all for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who will have joined the call this morning?
हरे कृष्ण नंद प्रिय नर्मदा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी from Charlotte. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharvika Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, my humble obeisances to you and all assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Param Pavani Shama Devi Dasi from Baltimore, Maryland. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Param Pavani Shama Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Narmada Mata ji.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. This is Sundarangi Radha Devi Dasi from Canada.
Hare Krishna Sundarangi Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji. We could not hear you. Do you want to go ahead, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mata ji, please accept my humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Shama Guri Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Shama Gauri Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you after a long time, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are there any other devotees who would like to introduce themselves? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhuji on the call to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 13th chapter, 34th sloka. And before handing over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to ask Param Pavani Mataji to go ahead and give a brief introduction about Prabhuji. Mataji, please take over.
Hare Krishna, dear Mataji. Thank you for the opportunity of this seva. Our today's speaker, His Grace Mahabhagavata Prabhuji, though he was born in a Madhava Vaishnava family, but he was drawn to atheism in his adulthood while he started reading Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, just to find faults in it. This book had a profound impact on his life and clarified a lot of his misunderstanding. He met his spiritual master, His Grace Srimad Shankarshan Das Adhikari, in 2004, but it was only after several years of intense discourses and answers over 600 questions. He was initiated in 2011 at ISKCON Austin, Texas, and then received his second initiation in 2013 at ISKCON Kaunas, Lithuania. Today, he extensively preaches from all of Srila Prabhupada's books. His primary services are Sankirtan, book distribution, teaching, mentoring, cooking, and deity worship. He speaks English, Kannada, Marathi, Hindi, and Telugu, and has a basic understanding of Sanskrit and German. He pursued his degrees in machine learning and computational linguistics in Toronto, but this coincided with his increasing interest in bhakti and had to choose between the umpteen research paper and the works of Srila Prabhupada. He currently works in the corporate world as a chief technology officer at an insurance company. So here is a very brief and sweet introduction of today's speaker, His Grace Mahabhagavata Prabhuji. Over to you, dear Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the brief introduction. Looks like Prabhuji is not yet on the call. So if any devotees would like to introduce themselves, please go ahead. Yeah, we can do chanting Mataji by that time. Prabhuji joins.
Yes, Mataji, we can chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Ram Ram, Hari Hari, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram
Jai
Ram.
Guru Jai
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare.
Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram.
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda.
Krishna Mataji Prabhuji has joined.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your very valuable time to us this morning and enlightening on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 13 and 34th Sloka, Prabhuji. Whenever you're ready, please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the program.
Hare Krishna. Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. I could not hear you for some reason.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Now, is it audible, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
For some reason, I can't hear still. I was able to hear everyone chanting, but I'm not able to hear you.
Right now, we
Hare
can.
Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Are you muted by any chance?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
for now,
we
we can
can hear
continue.
you.
Okay. Just a quick short kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavcha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Thank you very much, dear devotees, for joining today and for giving me an opportunity to speak on this beautiful verse. Today's verse is chapter 7, text 13, verse number 34. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashtaprayeshvadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Shokamoha Bhaya Krodha Raga Klaibya Shramadaya Yanmulaha Nrinam Jahiyat Spraham Pranarthayor Buddha Shokamoha Bhaya Krodha Raga Klaibya Shramadaya Yanmulaha Nrinam Jahiyat Spraham Pranarthayor Buddha शोकमोह भय क्रोध राग क्लैब्य शमादय यन्मूलाः स्युर्निराम जह्यात् स्पृहां प्राणार्थयोर्बुधः. Word by word translations. Shoka, lamentation. Moha, illusion. Bhaya, fear. Krodha, anger. Raga, attachment. Klaibya, poverty. Shrama, unnecessary labor, adayah, and so on, yat moolah, the original cause of all these, syuh, become nirnam of human beings, jahyat, one should give up, spraham, the desire, prana, for bodily strength or prestige, arthayo, and accumulating money, buddhaha, an intelligent person. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll also read the translation 3 times. Those in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all of these is the desire for unnecessary prestige and money. Those in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all these is the desire for unnecessary prestige and money. Those in human society who are intelligent should give up the original cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, attachment, poverty, and unnecessary labor. The original cause of all of these is the desire for unnecessary prestige and money. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here is the difference between Vedic civilization and modern demoniac civilization. Vedic civilization concerned itself with how to achieve self realization, and for this purpose, one was recommended to have a small income to maintain body and soul together. The society was divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and the members of this society would limit their endeavors to meeting their minimum demands. The Brahmanas, in particular, would have no material desires. Because the Kshatriyas had to rule the people, it was necessary for them to have money and prestige. But the Vaishyas were satisfied with agricultural produce and milk from the cow, and if by chance there were excess, trade was allowed. The Shudras were also happy, for they could get food and shelter from the 3 higher classes. In the demoniac civilization of the present day, however, there is no question of Brahmanas or Kshatriyas. There are only so called workers and a flourishing mercantile class who have no goal in life. According to Vedic civilization, the ultimate perfection of life is to take sannyas. But at the present moment, people do not know why sannyas is accepted. Because of misunderstanding, they think that one accepts sannyas to escape social responsibilities, but one does not accept sannyas to escape from responsibility to society. Generally, one accepts sannyas at the fourth stage of spiritual life. One begins as a brahmachari, then becomes a grahastha, a vanaprastha, and finally a sannyasi to take advantage of the duration of one's life by engaging oneself fully in self-realization. Sannyas does not mean begging from door to door to accumulate money for sense gratification. However, because in Kali Yuga, people are more or less prone to sense gratification, immature sannyas is not recommended. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Nectar of Instruction, the second verse, Atyahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following six activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. Or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. End quote. A sannyasi should have an institution meant to preach Krishna consciousness. He need not accumulate money for himself. We recommend that as soon as money accumulates in our Krishna consciousness movement, 50% of it should be invested in printing books and 50% for expenditures, especially in establishing centers all over the world. The managers of the Krishna consciousness movement should be extremely cautious in regard to this point. Otherwise, money will be the cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, material attachment, material poverty, and unnecessary hard work. When I was alone in Vrindavan, I never attempted to construct mathas or temple. Rather, I was fully satisfied with the small amount of money I could gather by selling back to Godhead. And thus I would provide for myself and also print the literature. When I went to foreign countries, I lived according to the same principle. But when Europeans and Americans began to give money profusely, I started temples and deity worship. The same principle should still be followed. Whatever money is collected should be spent for Krishna and not a farthing for sense gratification. This is the Bhagavata principle. Short prayer. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Before we start, I wish you all a very joyous Christmas. Today is like the Vyas Puja of Lord Jesus Christ. So it's a very special day for all Vaishnavas because as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada have both said we can accept Lord Jesus Christ as a Vaishnava Acharya. My spiritual master also says the same thing. We can accept him as a Vaishnava Acharya. He could not give the details of Vaishnava Siddhanta because he was only preaching for 3 years. But from whatever he has given, it is clear that his mood of surrender and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtakam are perfectly correlated and perfectly in harmony with each other. So, so very joyous Christmas to all of you, and I pray that Lord Jesus Christ's mercy might overflood the world, and maybe an instrument in the spreading of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement in every town and village, in every heart. A quick context about this verse, where it's being spoken, in case some of you have not attended all the classes, or not sure where in the conversation in the Bhagavatam we are right now. So the high level is that, well, everybody knows that Maharaj Parikshit and Shukadev Goswami are having a conversation, and that conversation is being quoted by the sages of Naimisharanya, by Shaunaka Muni, and between Shaunaka and Suta Goswami, that conversation is happening, and within that conversation, within the conversation, there is a conversation between Maharaj Yudhishthir and Narad Muni. Narad Muni is instructing Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir has asked him some wonderful questions, which resulted in the explanation of the appearance, character, and activities of Prahlad Maharaj. And then Narad Muni uh, has completed that pastime, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking further questions. And there are 4 chapters actually here in this verse. So chapter 11 of this 7th canto concerns the 4 social classes, which is the 4 varnas, right? We have Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and we have the four spiritual classes. So we have Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. They're all spiritual in nature. Um, so the 13th, that is the 12th chapter. The 13th chapter where we are in right now, Narad Muni is describing the behavior of the perfect person, right? And then in the next chapter, in the 14th chapter, there'll be ideal family life, and in the 15th chapter will be instructions for civilized human beings. Importantly, civilized human beings. Okay, so Krishna describes the varnashram chaturvarnyam maya sishtam guna karma vibhagashah tasya kartaram bhima vidhi akartaram avyayam. So it's well known within ISKCON, but it's not as well known outside of ISKCON, which is that the varnashram system is not a caste system that is based on birth, but is based on the qualities and the work of an individual. And Krishna has created that system himself, and it's a natural system that is available everywhere, actually visible everywhere in the world. So in this particular case, Narad Muni is instructing Yudhishthir Maharaj. He's giving Upadesh, he's giving advice. But the advice, just like the Bhagavad Gita, for example, the advice was given to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, but it's meant for all of us. Similarly, Narad Muni's instructions are applicable to all of us. In this particular uh, point of the conversation, Narad Muni is quoting again. See how it is quoting previous authorities. Narad Muni is quoting a conversation that happened between Prahlad Maharaj and an Avadhuta Brahmana who was just lying on the floor doing nothing, apparently. And Prahlad Maharaj knew that he's not doing anything, like he's not working, he's not doing the he was acting as if he is deaf and dumb and a little bit mad, etc. And Prahlad asked him, "Well, you're like this, but how come your body is so fat? Like, how come you're so healthy, right?" So the Avadut Brahmana is then begins to explain various instructions. So we have all in this Bhakti Sangha Japa group, we have already studied many of those instructions. We are now on verse number 34. So in this particular chapter, he's explaining the principles of sannyas. The Avadut Brahman is explaining to Prahlad the principles of sannyas. So this is curious because I don't see any sannyasis on this call. There are different kinds of people. There are men, there are women. There are people in grahastha ashram, there are people who are unmarried, there are people who are choosing to remain brahmachari or brahmacharini, etc. So why is it that this instruction is being given to Yudhishthir Maharaj, who was also not a sannyasi? And why is it that Srila Prabhupada is giving us this instruction as well, even though from the social orders, which are we are not from the social and from the spiritual orders, we are technically not sannyasis. Like we are not wearing saffron robes, we are not renouncing family life, work, and earning money, and so on and so forth. But according to Sri Krishna, in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains very clearly that a sannyasi is not necessarily who we think a sannyasi is. Not necessarily a person with saffron clothes, for example. Right? It's not. This is not the case. Um, in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna explains. Okay, so he says this is a chapter called Dhyana Yoga. Interestingly, but the Lord says, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Anashrita Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Sasanyasi cha yogi cha naniragnirna chakriyah. The translation of that verse is that he's saying anashrita karma phalam, which means that anashrita, a person who is not taking shelter of or who is unattached, karma phalam, to the fruits of his work, and who works as he's obligated to work, that person is a real sannyasi, not a person who is not doing anything. So, for example, it's not like, especially in India, we see a lot of people who are just sitting around idly. They are not necessarily sannyasis. You can see even ISKCON sannyasis are extremely active. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha naninagnina chakriya. Yogis are not necessarily people who are performing severe austerities. Krishna says that one who is unattached to the fruits of your work and works as he's obligated is in the renounced order of life. So, and he's the true mystic, the true yogi. Na niragnir. So he's not like, he's saying no, not that he's not lighting any fire and performing no duty, etc. So in this particular verse, lighting no fire refers to Vedic sacrifices, but all of us light fires at home to cook our prasadam, etc. So whether someone is a male body in a male body, whether someone is a female body, whether someone is unmarried, whether someone is married, whether someone is rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy, whether somebody is doing a lot of active stuff outside or somebody is being Krishna conscious in a quiet sort of way, they are all, according to Krishna, sannyasis. So therefore this chapter applies to us, or those of us who are trying to be devotees, because a devotee is the ideal sannyasi, a devotee is the ideal babaji. So the examples are there in the scripture also. Ramanand Rai was a politician, minister, right? And he did not give up his family life. He did not take sannyas, for example. But do you think he was any different from Sarup Damodar Goswami, who was a sannyasi? Not different at all. So we see many such examples. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a family man, perfectly transcendental. Many of our spiritual masters, Kratu Prabhu, for example, has children. So he is a sannyasi or not, right? He is a sannyasi. He's a spiritual master within ISKCON. There are so many others who are in Vanaprastha ashram. My spiritual master, Sankarshan Prabhu, Vaisheshika Prabhu. There are so many other devotees who are in Vanaprastha ashram, but they are also as good as sannyasis. And that actually applies to all of us who are trying to become devotees. So what Krishna says in the next verse is also instructive. He says, Yam sannyasam prahur yogam. Yam sannyasam prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava. So he's saying you should know that what sannyasa and what is the what is sannyas, what is renunciation, what is linking yourself to the supreme yoga is the same as linking with the supreme. He's saying you cannot become a yogi unless he says na hya sanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. You cannot be a yogi without, unless you renounce the desire for sense gratification. So in this purport we see that Srila Prabhupada is actually very focused on that particular aspect of thing. So in this particular purport, in this particular verse, Narad Muni is listing out 7 things. Okay, so 7 things. He's listing out 1, lamentation. 2, he's listing out illusion. Right. 3, he's listing out fear. 4, he's listing out anger. 5, he's listing out attachment. 6, he's listing out poverty. Interestingly enough, he's listing poverty as a reason for, as a being caused by excessive attachment to material prestige and money. If you can imagine, excessive attachment to money actually also causes poverty. So it's because, we can see that actually in many cases a person who has a lot is not actually attached, but a person who has very little is very, very attached. So, and then unnecessary labor, right, is all caused by these two things, which is the desire for unnecessary material prestige and unnecessary amount of accumulation of money. So Srila Prabhupada, and these many of these 7 items, right, you can see whether they are directly or indirectly, they are actually already mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in couple of very famous verses, right? So in the second chapter, verse 62 and 63, I believe, Krishna says, um, ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. In that also Krishna is listing 7 links in a chain. So if you count in that verse, you'll find 7. First is attachment, the material objects, etc., which causes us to fall back into the material pool, and that is exactly what Narad Muni is explaining to us here. So, um, in general, Srila Prabhupada uses this example very often, which is that these 7 things, whether it is you're referring to the Bhagavad Gita verses, or you're referring to this Bhagavatam verse, are actually caused, um, by remaining within what is known as the Pavarga of human society. So Pavarga means, it's, Pavarga means it's like the syllables that are made by the two lips joining each other. So pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So we have different vargas like ka varga, cha varga, ta varga, etc. This is the pa varga, pa, pa, ba, ma, ma. And Srila Prabhupada uses the Papa in different ways. Sometimes he says Parishram, sometimes, it's different kinds of things are there, but eventually they result in mrityu or death. Excessive uh, excessive effort, spur results to mrityu. Through the various things like pena and in some cases Krishna says it's bandhanam. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada says bandhanam. In some cases, Rupa Goswami has written bandhanam, but Prabhupada also says vyartha because they pronounce in Bengali byartha. So Srila Prabhupada says that also vyarthata. For example, he has said that in some classes. So this pavarga, which is excessive, starts with excessive effort, which is mentioned here in this unnecessary labor, is mentioned in this verse as well, is actually the cause of all problems. When you unnecessarily labor for things, desiring, prestige, material prestige or wealth, that's when these things happen. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that is the key difference between Vedic civilization and material civilization. Material civilization, actually, there is no goal. Srila Prabhupada has described our society also. You have all these mercantile men, people who are money minded. It's very, very celebrated in our world, the ability or the desire or the way to make money. Everybody is running after that kind of thing. Those people are very highly respected. So they have the Vaishya skills, right? So they have the ability to make money, which is a hallmark of a Vaishya, but they don't have the Vaishya training because they don't have any purpose. They are definitely not protecting cows, and they're definitely not taking care of this planet in a way that they are supposed to. In fact, they're exploiting this planet. So there is no mentality of Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. It's just Vanijam, 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 increase of business. And then the rest of the population is mostly Shudras. They are basically looking for employment from all of these rascal mercantile people. So even though the population is Shudra, majority of the population, and they are untrained. Shudra means they are untrained in spiritual life. But in the context of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the way Srila Prabhupada has taught us, it is not that these people are untrainable. That's very important to note, that they may be untrained, but they are not untrainable. So everything that we are doing in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is to transform this Shudra mentality people into, if possible, the highest possible, the Brahmana mentality people, whoever it's possible. But even otherwise, to take them as far as we can take them through the process of Krishna consciousness. So, in fact, we already mentioned the Chaturvarnya Maya system verse, right? And then even in the Bhagavatam, in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam, there is a verse that's like Ata Pumbir Dvija Shrestha Varna Shrama Vibhagacha Swanushthitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So, what that verse says is that therefore the society is divided into four, and Swanushthitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So by using whatever it is that they have, whether it is working with their hands or working with their legs, working with their minds, working with their, whatever you do, however, whatever kind of work with you, someone does, as long as that work is used to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, satisfy Krishna, and then those people will all be liberated. It's not just the person on the altar, or the preacher, or anybody who is doing any kind of service sincerely for Krishna according to their own capacity is actually liberated from this material world. In this verse, because Narad Muni is instructing about sannyas, it is very instructive for us to read together the first 12 verses of the Bhagavad Gita chapter 18. So Mataji, if you can please share that, I would like to read with, you know e- even though everybody's on remote, I'm sorry, on mute, we can still read that if possible. We can read those two, those verses together. That will be very beneficial for all of us. Okay, so if we are ready, we can go. Okay, chapter 18, verses 1 to 12. Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. Much appreciated. Only the verses and the translation is what we will read. Okay, not the whole thing. So Krishna says, Arjuna Vacha, Sannyasasya, sorry, Arjuna says, Arjuna Vacha, Sannyasasya Mahabaho, Tattvamichhami Veditum, Tyagasya cha Rishikesha, Patakkeshi Nishudana. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that renunciation is not to avoid responsibility. So Arjuna is asking this very question. I want to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. And Krishna answers, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam, Sannyasam Gavayo Vidhu, Sarva Karma Phala, Tyagam Prahus, Tyagam Vichakshana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyas. So it's confirmed. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. So all of you, Matajis, Prabhus, children, boys, girls, it doesn't matter, old men, old ladies, doesn't matter, rich, poor, educated or not, all of you, if you are giving up activities that are based on material desire, then according to Krishna, you are a sannyasi. Okay. त्याज्यम दोषवदित्ये के कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यम इति चापरे. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. Hmm? And then Krishna confirms, Nishchayam Chunume Tatra Tyage Bharata Sattama Tyago Hi Purusha Vyaghra Trividha Sampakirtitaha. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. Whose judgment? Krishna's judgment. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. Krishna is describing, this is very important for us to know that renunciation is in three kinds. And then he is saying, Yajnadana tapak karma tyajyam karyameva tat yajnodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of charity, acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. No matter how great someone is, they can always be further purified by these activities sacrifice, charity, and penance. एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च कर्तव्यानि इति मे पार्थ निश्चितं मतमुत्तमम्. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty or sanapratha. That is my final opinion. Whose final opinion? Krishna's final opinion. नियतस्य तु संन्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागस्तामसः परिकीर्तितः. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. This is the renunciation in the mode of ignorance. Krishna said that there are renunciation of three kinds: one in the mode of goodness, one in the mode of passion, one in the mode of ignorance. He has just described that if somebody gives up their prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada says the same thing in his purport. Anyone who, and then dukkham ityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajit sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhet. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Now Krishna has described the renunciation in the mode of passion. Now here कार्यमेव तत्कर्म नियतं क्रियते अर्जुन संगम त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव सत्यागः सात्विको मतः. O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So this is renunciation in the mode of goodness. Krishna has defined all three: passion, ignorance, and goodness. न द्वेष्ट कुशलं कर्म कुशलेनानुषज्यते त्यागी सत्त्वसमाविष्टो मेधावी छिन्न संशयः. The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. In other words, as a devotee, whether I'm cleaning the toilet or I'm on the altar offering arti, that person is the person who has no doubts about work, the real sannyasi. नहि देहभृता शक्यं त्यक्तुं कर्माण्यशेषतः यस्तु कर्मफल त्यागी सत्यागीत्यभिधीयते. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called the one who has truly renounced. So people who are giving their time, who are giving their energy, who are giving their money, who are giving their resources for Krishna, that person is a sannyasi. Anishtamishtam mishram cha dividham karmana phalam bhavatya atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But for those who are in the renounced order of life, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. So I think we got a very strong context on that beautiful purport by Srila Prabhupada, right? So Srila Prabhupada has quoted so many different reference materials. He has quoted the second Atyahara Prayashasya verse. He has said that all money should be used for Krishna and should not be kept for sense gratification, because if you keep it for sense gratification, it causes all kinds of problems. Finally, Srila Prabhupada is revealing something very interesting to us in that purport. So, in the verse, Prahlad Maharaja's conversation with the person with the python mentality is mentioned. Python means, they don't actively go out there and hunt, right? They just wait, they just lie there and wait very quietly. And if some food comes, then they grab it, right? So similarly, and that's how the Avadhut Brahmana was maintaining himself, right? If somebody gives him food, he would eat. Otherwise, he would not eat. Madhavendra Puri had the same vow, never to ask anybody for food, for example. And sannyasis, strict sannyasis, don't cook for themselves either, right? Many of them. I mean, the preachers do all kinds of things, but I'm talking about the official varnashram system sannyasis. They don't cook for themselves. So if nobody feeds a sannyasi, and if he is not asking anybody for food, then he's fasting, right? So Srila Prabhupada is revealing his own Python mentality, his own Ajagara Vritti. He's revealing how in Vrindavan he was peaceful, just doing as little as required, just to keep his body and soul together and to and to get some money to print his Back to Godhead magazines, right? He was not doing anything for sense gratification. And then Srila Prabhupada did not come with a specific plan to set up temples and all of this necessarily. He just reacted to whatever Krishna was giving him through the Europeans and the Americans and eventually also the Indians, right? So he was not doing so. Srila Prabhupada himself was like that Avadut Brahmana, but obviously Srila Prabhupada was not Avadut. He was behaving in very strict ways, but still he had the same kind of attitude. So what I'm trying to say here is that a pure devotee has that kind of mentality. They're not necessarily endeavoring for something great, something amazing. They're just happy to continue their service, continue their chanting, continue their service, continue their Krishna consciousness, and whatever Krishna gives them, they use again in the service of Krishna, nothing for their own sense gratification. So again, refocusing on what was the main reason why these 7 problems were caused. They were caused by desire for unnecessary prestige, respect me, right? Um, or the desire for money. And this same thing has been said by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his famous Shikshashtakam prayers, right? He says, Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Mayadena Kirtaniya Sada Harihi. That's what he's saying. He's saying being humbler than a blade of grass, being as tolerant as a tree, not desiring any respect for oneself, giving all respect to others, that person can chant the name of Sri Hari, not anybody else. Anybody who thinks, oh, I was supposed to be respected in this way, but they spoke to me in the wrong tone of voice. Oh, what is this? That person will never be able to peacefully chant Hare Krishna. So another verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye." मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतु की त्वयि. He says, I don't want dhanam, I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, na janam, na sundari. He doesn't want beautiful women. It applies to men also. Women also don't want association of beautiful men, for example, right? Kavitam va jagadisha kamai. He doesn't want even lot of intelligence because that brings prestige. He doesn't want lot of erudition. He doesn't want the ability to give amazing discourses and all of that stuff. So how does this manifest in our life? We'll just talk about the application of all of this, right? We have covered a lot of material. I'm sorry, this purport was really heavy. I mean, very varied. Lot of different things were there in the purport, and I was just reflecting as I was preparing for this class. It's possible to give like 10, 20, 30 different classes on this particular verse, because the topic is so wonderful and so juicy, and there's a lot. I think I was not able to do justice to all of the different topics, but hopefully I have given some. Uh, tip of the iceberg, I can say, of what is there in this verse. Okay, so now we'll focus on some application, right? So how does this manifest in our life? This desire for unnecessary prestige and desire for unnecessary money. First of all, and mainly speaking, when I'm talking about the devotee world, it manifests as a desire to take credit, to take credit for the books that I have distributed, to take credit for the devotees that I have made, to take credit for helping somebody, to take credit for cooking and offering, to take credit for dressing the deity very nicely. All of this desire to take credit is a thing that holds us and bogs us down. So the application of this is that we should be in a mood of not keeping anything with us, right? So at night, right, there's a famous prayer that Vaishnavas recite before they go to bed. They offer their obeisances on the ground and they chant this prayer. The Vaishnavas say one of the prayers is Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhatmana manushrita svabhava करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति samarpayami. Give everything back. If I have done any reading today, give the credit back to Krishna. If I have done any chanting today, give the credit back to Krishna. If I have done any service today, give all credit back to Krishna, Guru and Krishna in general. Once we do that much, really, honestly, and next morning you wake up a pauper, okay? You have not chanted anything. You don't have any holy names. You have not done any service. You have not done any preaching. You have not distributed any books. You have not done anything. You're starting with a zero. That zero mentality person is a fortunate person, because that zero mentality person can actually chant in the proper mood when they wake up in the morning. They pick up their beads. The person who does not have anything, pauper is the only way to be begging. Rich people don't beg. People who feel rich also don't beg. People who feel that they have something cannot beg. It's impossible. When we go out on book distribution, we see that the most humble persons who are really begging very intently are the people who are distributing the books. We see that people who are the most humble are the people who are becoming the spiritual masters, right? There are so many people, and undoubtedly, who might think, "Oh, I should be a spiritual master. I know all these verses," right? Like, it's not about that at all. It's about their humility. So when we chant this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant this Maha Mantra, how can we chant in a proper mode if we have something? If we actually have already something, how will we chant? How will we beg Krishna to please, please, please give me something? So it's a fact that when we feel rich, when we feel like we have some credit, when we feel like we have some qualification, when we feel like we have something of our own, then we cannot actually chant in the proper mode. That's very important. Only a poor, wretched person who does feels that they have nothing and they have no hope except for this one mantra that I'm about to chant. There is a person who can chant. So, how can we now apply that information? One of the practical things as we go into the holiday season and the new year as well is we can actually detect, are we expecting to take credit for something? Are we expecting honor and prestige for some service that we have done or are about to do, or some help? If I'm answering someone's question, am I feeling proud? Am I should catch myself trying to take that credit and not passing it up, this disciplic succession, not to give it up to Gurudev, not to afterwards. If someone ignores us, like we walk into a temple room, let's say you've been in a community for 20, 30 years, you walk in a particular temple room and nobody greets you. Does that cause us to become uh, morose, angry? And I've done so much for this community and they're not giving me any credit for this. If we are in that kind of mood, dear devotees, dear Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, we are in big trouble. Okay. So I will conclude with a quick recap of what we just said, and then I'll open it up for any questions, comments, or realizations or corrections, whatever you have to offer me. Okay. So the context of this verse is that we are in chapter 13 of the seventh canto, where 11 talks about the varna, the 12 talks about the ashram, 13 talks about the behavior of the perfect person. We are all trying to be the perfect person, following Sri Krishna. 14, next verse will talk about, next chapter will talk about the ideal family life, and last one is instructions for civilized human beings. These 15 chapters. Narad Muni is giving advice to Yudhishthir Maharaj, and he's describing a conversation between Prahlad and Navadut Brahmana. And Prahlad's question was, "How come you're so fat? You don't do anything. How come you don't do anything to maintain yourself?" And so this Avadut Brahman is explaining, because he was acting deaf and dumb, and like a fool. But when Prahlad spoke beautiful words, this sage was inspired to give him. So that's another thing. We cannot expect a sage to give us something if we don't approach them in the proper mood. You have to inspire them uh, about our sincerity, etc., by approaching them in the proper mood. So, so he's explaining how the desire for prestige and um, money is causing us to experience these seven kinds of difficulties: lamentation, caused by desire for prestige and money; illusion, caused by desire for prestige and money; fear, caused by desire for prestige and money; anger, caused by desire for prestige and money; attachment, caused by desire for prestige and money; poverty, also caused by desire for prestige and money; and unnecessary labor, working too hard, caused by desire for prestige and money. So we quoted various verses. I won't repeat all those verses. Krishna's Varnashram, we talked about who is, what is the Varna, how it's guna and karma based, how today's society has people with Vaishya skills and people with worker skills, but none of them are actually have any goal, no purpose in life. What is the purpose of any of our institutions? What is the purpose of our government? No purpose, just simply sense gratification, which is complete waste of time. It's causing these 7 symptoms all over the world. So we discussed how sannyasa does not mean to accept, to renounce responsibility. Sannyasa means to renounce the fruits of the actions. In other words, we accept responsibility for our services, but we don't accept the fruits themselves. We give the fruits back to Krishna and his devotees. Like that's our goal, right? We read the chapter 18 where Krishna describes sannyasa in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. We all want to be sannyasis according to the goal of the Krishna consciousness movement. Doesn't matter if one is a man, woman, wearing white clothes, going to work, having a business, father, children. Doesn't matter. All of those kinds of things. We are meant to be sannyasis. In other words, we are meant to use all of our money for Krishna. If we keep it for self gratification, it will cause those 7 problems. Srila Prabhupada reveals his own Ajagara Vritti, his own Python mentality, how he used everything very intelligently. Only when it came, he did not go hankering to build temples, for example. Right? We spoke how, in order to apply this knowledge, we have to give everything back to Guru and Krishna. Right? We spoke about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions in the Shastakam, the 2 verses, right? Not keep anything with us, just keep everything with us, to keep only the desire to render service with us. That is the only thing that we can keep. Everything else needs to be given back to Guru, Krishna, to the other devotees, etc. In that mood, we can chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because ultimately, rich people cannot beg. It just is not possible for them to be in that begging mood. So you have to put yourself in the mood of a beggar in order, whenever we are doing our service. So every single service we do, whether we are sweeping the kitchen floor, or we are cleaning the toilets of the ashram, or we are distributing books, or trying to preach Krishna consciousness, whatever it is that we might trying to be doing, it will be only effective if we are in that beggar mood. Otherwise, it will not be effective. And how we can be vigilant is, first of all, are we expecting to take credit? Are we actually catch ourselves taking credit? And if credit is not given to us, are we feeling upset about that? So with that, I will end my presentation and request you for your feedback. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Prabhuji, thank you.
Somehow I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a problem on my end, to be honest.
Am I audible to others?
Yes,
Could be something
Mataji,
on
you're
my
audible.
end.
Yes, I think maybe
Unfortunately.
chat questions or Prabhuji can rejoin and see
I have
one.
no idea what it is.
Prabhuji, do you want to remove your microphone, your headphones? That might help. Of course, he can't hear us.
Mataji, you can type
Can you
that
try
in the
once
chat
again?
box, Mataji.
I'm typing. Can you rewind, please?
Or we can just check
Once
the
again?
chat questions.
I was able to hear the chanting. I don't know what happened. Okay. Maybe you can just please type it out. I'm so sorry that I can't hear you, but maybe just type it out instead of spending all the time on trying to solve technical issues.
Prabhuji, if you have any question, can you just type it out for Prabhuji?
Try now, Mataji. No, I can't hear. It says volume maximum, but I can't hear anything. I think there's some issue on my end.
Himangi, Prabhuji, there is a chat. Prabhuji, can you see the?
One question that I see, I'm so sorry, I can't hear you, but there's one question. Can you please give reference to the verse you spoke, Vaishnava sing at night? It's part of the It's part of the prayers that we say at night. It's there in the devotee manual. I don't know which scripture it is from, but I can find out and let you know. I can send the verse to Mother Shamagori. Let me see. The other one works. Does that help?
The Indulekha Karuna Mataji has
Okay.
verse. Yeah.
Okay, Mother Indulekha is sending the verse up there. Perfect. Perfect. From Srimad Bhagavatam. Kayana vacha manasendreva buddhyatmana manushata swabhavat karoti or karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayana iti samarpayami. Samarpayet tat. This is in the third person in accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life. Whatever one does with body, words, mind, and senses, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Supreme, thinking this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayan. And what the verse that I quoted was actually in the first person. It's saying Kayana Vacha Manasendrerva Buddhatmana Manusha Swava Karomi instead of Karoti. It's Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana. Instead of Samarpayet Tat, it was Samarpayami, which is I'm offering it. So it's like that. Okay. So that's that. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danva Pranams. I hope you're able to hear me. Hare
Oh,
Krishna.
Mataji, he cannot hear you.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Let me just type in the chat.
Yeah, type in the chat, Mataji. Ah. Oh, he's putting again. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare
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 Ram.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. No, Prabhuji cannot hear us.
Anyways, I put the message in the chat box. So, I hope somebody,
Yes.
if he can read it or.
Now we cannot hear Prabhuji.
You can hear me. Where do we
No,
draw the line? Okay, we have a few different things. How does the Vesha clothing influences the sannyasi mentality? Actually, it should not. It's meant as an external indicator, just like a policeman wears a police uniform, but a policeman in plain clothes is still a policeman, right? So the policeman does not behave differently. Similarly, a devotee in plain clothes is still a devotee. It's not like just because I change my clothes and put on a suit, suddenly I have become a non-devotee, right? It's not like that at all. It's in the heart. But we put on devotion clothes because that inspires people to. Because when we put on ordinary clothing, then nobody actually realizes that this person is different from everybody else in the room, right? So we are putting on this clothing just so that other people can understand that he's trying to be a devotee, this person is trying to be a devotee. So that's a fact. So if in general clothing, one should try to dress modestly, because dressing in a way to attract attention to ourselves by enhancing or camouflaging certain parts of our body, etc., is actually harmful for others' consciousness, because they might end up noticing things that will distract them from Krishna. And it's also harmful for ourselves because we attract that kind of attention and that kind of energy towards ourselves, and that actually distracts ourselves also from Krishna, because people are offering us some kind of adulation, like like as if you're a film star or something like that. So that causes issues. Okay, I hope that Mother Param Pavani Shama, I hope that helps. That's the purpose, but otherwise internally a devotee remains a devotee no matter how they are dressed, right? And in fact sannyasis, they're in the previous verses, they can even go without clothing because they are at that level. Shukadev Goswami was not wearing any clothes at all, and nobody was feeling anything different. It's just like nobody feels anything when they see a small child. Without clothing, they don't feel anything awkward. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, where do we draw the line between standing up for ourselves and not expecting respect? I think there are two very different things. Um, a Vaishnava who is a preacher is advised to act in four different ways with four different kinds of personalities, right? So we are meant to be subservient to Krishna and his devotees. When I say devotees, I mean pure devotees. They may be prakrita bhaktas who are not necessarily yet on the devotional platform. So Ishvare tadadhineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha ya karoti samadhyama. So we are all meant to be, as preachers in the Krishna consciousness movement, and we preach just by being here, not necessarily by giving classes or whatever. We are all naturally, preachers. We are meant to be. So Ishvare tadadhineshu. If a person, if person happens to be the supreme personality of Godhead, or a person who is fully surrendered, tadadhineshu, balisheshu dvishatsucha. So a person who is Krishna or worshipable superior like Krishna, that person, we prema, we love them, we serve them, we give them service, we do whatever, we listen to them very carefully, right? Like we give them our oral reception. A person who is a devotee, right? Prema maitri, we make friendship with them, right? In friendship, there can be arguments, right? In friendship, for example, there can be um, someone disagreeing with someone else. Those things are aspects of friendship. So when Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were on the friendly platform, then nothing was being resolved because Krishna was telling him to fight. Arjuna was saying this is millions of reasons why I should not fight, right? And but when Arjuna accepted himself as a disciple and accepted Krishna as a spiritual master, then some progress was made. So yes, between friends, arguments and disagreements are possible. Prema Maitri. So in Maitri, these things are possible, like Kripa. So if somebody is innocent, then we offer them mercy. We give them Krishna consciousness through prasadam, books, instruction, etc., etc. And then if somebody is envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees, we actually upeksha, we actually ignore them, So we actually, so standing up for ourselves. So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says this really well. He says, humility does not mean humiliation. Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj also, when he was giving the, when I attended his Namamrita programs, said that Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna does not necessarily mean that we let others walk all over us. That's not it at all. It's not like that at all. Okay. So it does not mean that we can uh, allow people to take advantage of us. So where does we draw the line? We find out, Mother Sukha Sagari, we find out if me keeping quiet or being humble is beneficial to the service of Krishna. If yes, I do that. If it is not, then I speak up. Does it make sense? It was a long-winded answer, but I hope it makes sense. In general, our criteria should be: does this serve Krishna or not? If it serves Krishna, then do accordingly. Okay. The next question by Avnish Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your kind blessings always. Yes, thank you very much. We have Sundarangi Radha Mataji asking, thank you for the references. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I'm so sorry. It's kind of because you cannot speak. It's probably a little bit not as rich of an experience as it would have been if I could have been able to hear you.
There is no more question so far. So, dear devotees, we can offer our humble obeisances to Prabhuji.
कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
की जय।
श्रीला प्रभुपाद की
की
जय।
जय।
Hare Ram,
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा।
Ram.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
की
Krishna.
जय।
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
Hare
हरे
Ram.
कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.